Okay, hello, my name is Frank. I'm going to be showing you how to use this script I wrote called FFmpegSo or FFmpegStitch. As the name suggests, it uses the software FFmpeg to stitch together any images you may have rendered from Maya into movie files. And using this functionality down here, it can even take multiple directories filled with images, um, and stitch those together into movies, and then stitch those movies together into one large movie made up of all your shots. So to show you how to do that, I'm going to start off with how you want to set up your Maya project so that way the script just works default right out the box. Basically, you just want to make sure you have a project set. The script I wrote this class for is called ITP215. So there's the name of the project. These folders will not be in here if you haven't set your project yet. Just make this folder and then set your project to this folder. And all those folders should be created. Out of all those folders, the ones that are important are images, movies, and scripts. So let's start off in scripts. You're going to want to download the FFmpeg executable that is correct for your OS. Since I'm using PC, it looks like this. This is the hierarchy. And this file right here is basically all you need. But you want to put the whole folder that you downloaded into your scripts folder. And then after that, what you need next is just to have your image files in these folders in images, right? You want to render out your files. They don't have to be JPEG, but this is how they should look. And they should be the JPEG format if you want the script to work with the default values. So yeah, now that you have all that set up, you can go and just grab the script, this ffmpeg_stitch.mel, and just drag it right into the viewport. That's one way to get it running. And here you can tell that the script is indeed checking the right project ITP215. The reason we wanted you to set that up is because now it automatically knows where to check for these scripts. And it checks it on launch. If the script is not there, it will let you know that something is wrong. You can just hit confirm if something is wrong and manually search for it yourself if you want to in your scripts folder here. You can manually find it if you want. You don't have to though, because the default value. Oh, well, yeah. This is a good example to show you what will happen if your FFmpeg executable is not working. So basically, I didn't select anything. So it's telling me that whatever file is there is not correct. It's not the FFmpeg executable. And these are some hints to get the file working again. So now I'll select the right one. It sees it, it reads it, it realizes this is the correct executable. So let's move on to file format. You can completely ignore this, but just for anyone that wants to use the script outside of the class, all this is saying is basically there are 4 numbers in each file, in each image file, to represent the frame number, right? So these 4 numbers right here represent the frame number, and then this represents the file format, obviously, which here has an E in it. So you want to change that if it's not already the default value. And then obviously these have some numbers beforehand. I'll get to that in a second. And then these next 2 values are just where your images live, right? So our image folders are in here. In ITP images, this is the default value. It's just the images folder in your project. Same thing for output. This is where your movies are going to go when you're done. And this is, again, the default movies folder created in your projects folder. So I was going to mention, I mentioned that these images have these numbers prepended before them. That's a feature of the multi-shot stitching feature. So what you can do is this functionality right here works for stitching one series of images together into a movie. But usually how people are going to use it, or how you're going to be using in this class, I should say, is for multiple shots. So we have these folders filled with images. And if we want to make them into one big movie instead of 3 separate movies, we can click here, Subdirectories. This checkbox is basically just telling you render all the subdirectories within my source folder, or not render, but stitch together. And then they all show up down here, right? You can choose which ones you want to stitch together or not. We're going to leave them all selected for now. And yeah, this basically will go in and stitch everything. The reason I mentioned that they have some extra numbers and letters here is for this class, the way we told you to render out your images is with the shot number, camera number, and then frame number. And then we also told you to name your folders with the same convention. So we have this option here to prepend the subdirectory names, the image file names. The image file names really only should contain this frame information, which is why we have the frame information up here and the file type information right there. But for the specific project, we wanted this to be prepended. So you can check or uncheck that depending on your situation. But we want to keep it checked for now, so that way it knows to look for the files that have, you know, the subdirectory, then the file, then the frame number, and then the file format. And then you should be able to hit make movie. It will take a second to generate everything, and then I'll ask you, hey, do you want to see your movie? And then your movie should come up in your default file player, all stitched together. You can see that these are 3 different shots. Here's the last shot. It's the longest. And yeah, it's all stitched together how it should look. There are various error, you know, situations where it can't find the file or something, for example, that you could go into. And then you could also use this for individual. Oopsie, that's not where you want that. You could look for individual folders, right? So here's a folder with all these names on it, 200 frames. That's the correct name. That is not the correct name anymore because I'm no longer rendering subdirectories. And since I'm no longer rendering subdirectories, there is no subdirectory name to prepend. You don't need to uncheck this; it just won't happen because subdirectories is unchecked. But I'll uncheck it anyway, just to show you that it's not going to be happening. So instead, I will just copy the subdirectory name in this given situation to right there, and then I can make my single movie. Let's see what the error was. Oh yes, this does happen sometimes. It just doesn't realize on the first run through that you changed the file format. So you know, if any error like that comes up, but you feel like your inputs are correct, just give it another play, and it should render the movie out. So yeah, that was the individual movie functionality, and I showed you earlier how to stitch together multiple shots into a movie. So yeah, that is the functionality of the FFmpeg script.